If you're getting ready to do your holiday shopping at Sephora, Nike, or Neiman Marcus, make sure you head to Rakuten first. Rakuten helps you save big on whatever you're buying for the holidays. Getting gifts for friends and family? Get some cash back for yourself. Plus, save on festive home decor, party outfits, and that trip to see your fam. With Rakuten, you can earn cash back on top of the biggest sales of the season, so you get the most savings. And it's easy to use. Just start your shopping at Rakuten.com or use the Rakuten app, and you'll get your cash back payments through PayPal or check. Rakuten partners with over 3,700 stores. The stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back. Join for free at Rakuten.com and get the Rakuten app. That's Rakuten.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Hi, this is... Oh. Nice. Hi, this is Matt and Amanda Harvey of Bigfoot's Paranormal. We're coming to you with a very special guest tonight. Her name is Kristy Price. She is a local real estate agent, and she's also a haunted historical building enthusiast. So we're going to have Kristy kind of talk about, number one, what she does, and number two, a little bit about her projects that she's working on. So with that, I'm going to open up for Kristy to go ahead and kind of talk about her story.
Well, thank you guys so much for inviting me on the show. Very excited to do this and share my story and a little bit about myself. As you mentioned, I'm a local real estate agent in Houston. I work for a very large team here in Houston. We're actually the #1 small brokerage in the city, which is so exciting. We do a lot of transactions, but in my industry, branding yourself is so important to stand out in the industry because there's so many real estate agents. I think the last number for Houston was close to 45,000 real estate agents in the city. And something that's very near and dear to me and always has been is the paranormal. And that's not something that you typically see a real estate agent brand themselves with. So I had this idea to kind of come out of my shell a little bit because this is actually my 10th year in real estate. And I just decided to be a little bit different and be more of myself and let my true self shine through the paranormal and historic buildings, which I just have such a big heart for. I absolutely love visiting historic properties. I've spent the past decade traveling the country, staying at hotels and going on ghost tours and just learning about the history. I've met some wonderful people along the way, including you two, which I'm so glad to have met you guys. But it's just a big passion of mine. It's something that I really enjoy. I believe in. Of course, I'm going to tell you my story, but I think it's just a very misunderstood field. And with me going to historical buildings, historical sites that do have, rumors or claims of being haunted, it's important for me to learn their history and try and tell the history of the building so that people can understand maybe where that haunting comes from, instead of just thinking that, a ghost in a white sheet is going to run out from a room if they go there. I think it's very misunderstood. But that's really all about me and what I'm doing. I go and I film these historic and haunted buildings. I tell the history of them on my Instagram page. I've also started doing some really fun TikToks, which I didn't realize was as fun as it is. Once I started doing them, I was like, okay, this is kind of addicting. But I've kind of found it really is. I've kind of found my niche doing that now too, which I enjoy. And I incorporate real estate in it as well. Information about haunted homes and, what states have to disclose paranormal activity in a home and how do you cleanse a home, crystal work, things like that for homes. I'm going to start getting into on my Instagram and TikTok as well. But currently I filmed at Yorktown Memorial Hospital. I've also filmed at a haunted bar in Houston called La Crosse. And then more recently, I filmed at a haunted jail, and I don't want to get the name out just because that video won't be released until probably about 4 more weeks. But it's about 2 hours from Houston, and it's gorgeous, just a beautifully maintained property with the owners are incredible and they just truly love that location. So I actually have a really big heart for the owners. She's actually the manager, the two managers there. The owner is a real estate agent from Brenham, by the way. Fun fact. But that location was just incredible. Great place to go. And that one will be coming to my Instagram in a couple of months. And then I do have 2 more booked. So lots of content coming.
That's great. What is your Instagram handle if someone wants to go and watch your videos?
It's my full name, Kristy Price, Kristiprice, and then at the very end has an underscore. So that's my handle on TikTok. That's my handle on Instagram. And then it's my name on Facebook. I post the videos on Facebook, but honestly, the most content that you're going to see for paranormal historical buildings is going to be on my Instagram. That's where I post everything.
I'm super curious about how you relate real estate with the ghost hunting. Does anybody come to you and say, hey, my house is haunted, I want to sell it, what do I do?
You know, that's the hope. It's just such a taboo subject for people that I haven't yet come across somebody who has blatantly told me that their house is haunted. But the brokerage that I work for, they actually list a lot of ranch properties in the state of Texas, and they have listed homes built in the 1800s that were on Civil War grounds. They actually listed one not too long ago, and because it had so much history on the property, the owners collected artifacts and trinkets that they found on the property, and they made a little museum in the home. They recently showed me the video of it. So they list homes like that every now and then, and it's something, again, it's a passion of mine. And for someone who has a historic home or a haunted property that they are looking to sell, for me, I would just like to be seen as somebody who, is an expert in that. And I say expert in air quotes. I'm more so just passionate about it. I would love to tell the story of your home, not just, take pretty pictures, put it on the MLS, write a pretty description about it. I would love to create a video that has beautiful cinematography of your home that just tells the story of that home. I just feel like it deserves it. And that's
the life to the house.
Exactly. So no, I have a lot of friends and colleagues in the industry. And what I've discovered from starting this brand is a lot of people have ghost stories. I went to an event Tuesday night and I probably talked to 50 people. And I would say more than half of those people asked if I could go to lunch with them, if they could call me because they had a ghost story. So it's out there. It's very common. It's more prevalent than we think as far as paranormal experiences. I just don't think it's talked about, and it's definitely not talked about in my industry yet.
Right. I always say to Matt, we're trying to make the paranormal normal. So people talk more about it, and it's out there, and everybody should feel comfortable to share their story.
I 100% agree with you, and I can see why it's taboo, just because it's, you can see it sometimes, but for the most part, you can't see it. And a lot of the evidence out there is debatable. But I always tell people, once it happens to you, once you have that experience, it's just kind of like, aha, you just don't go back. And that's my experience. That's my experience that I'm going to share with you guys, because luckily it was my first experience. But once this happened to me, I don't think twice about there being ghosts or not. There are ghosts, and there's different kinds of ghosts. Knowing what the different kinds of spirits are, understanding them, respecting them, that's important to me as well. So I just think paranormal education is missing in so many genres of work and industries, and especially mine, which I think it's just so weird because we sell homes. That's where you see all these movies and television shows and, commercial buildings. That's where all these hauntings happen and nobody's talking about it.
Right. And I think they should. I think it should be shared, and I think what you're doing is awesome. Tell us how you got interested in paranormal. Tell us the story. Tell us what happened.
Well, when was it back in was it late 1800s when the Ouija board just came into fruition? And I think it was Hasbro that purchased it, and started making it like a family game. I've seen pictures on the internet where, Ouija boards are fun for the whole family back in the 1920s. I did also read that Ouija boards in the 20s outsold Monopoly.
Yep.
It was just crazy.
It was a
Anyways,
family get together. Spiritualism was really big in that time, and that's what people
Yep.
did for fun.
Ooh, sorry. My phone decided to fly off.
Matt, did we lose you?
Yeah, he's totally not sitting still. Sorry, Kristy.
No, I'm trying to get the light so you can see my face and I don't look so damn creepy.
This is the Paranormal Podcast.
Yeah. You know the guy that sits there with the flashlight, in the campground and tells the spooky story around the fire? That's kind of people like right now.
You definitely
Oh my
have.
gosh, these people are going to be looking at this video going, dude, it's creepy.
It is a Paranormal Podcast.
There we go.
There you go.
That's
Kristy,
much better.
Introduction.
Well-
I'd love to hear your story.
We had a Ouija board when I was growing up. Do not ask me how we acquired it. I don't know if my parents, for whatever reason, purchased it for us. I don't remember that. I don't know if it was a friend of mine that left it at our house. I have no idea how I ended up with this thing. I was very young. I mean, we're talking 9, maybe 10 years old. Very young girl. And, of course, friends all get together. Oh, let's put our hands on it, put a finger on it, see if it moves, let's talk to it. Well, I got kind of into it. I was like, this is kind of neat, maybe talking to spirits. And then maybe if I communicate with one, I'll be like the cool girl in school. Like, that's what I thought being cool was. As you can tell, I'm a little out there.
No, not that. But
So there was this one time that I was playing with the Ouija board with a few of my friends. I don't remember who. I remember one girl, just one, but I do remember that there was about 3 of us that were playing. And we were in my sister's closet playing the game. Again, don't ask why we were in the closet. I don't know. This is just, girl stuff. So, you always ask, if someone is with us, give us a sign. So we did that, and the closet door shut. Now the door was open, just slightly, maybe about 4 or 5 inches. Not like the air conditioner turned on and the draft, caught it and slammed it, which didn't ever happen in that room anyway. We would know because I would have thought we had a ghost sooner. So when that happened, I was like, oh, this is cool. That was my first thought. This is cool.
what's happening?
Again, I thought that would make me cool. So over time, nothing happened thereafter. Like nothing immediately thereafter. My friends got spooked. They all left. Whatever happened after that happened. But things really didn't start occurring until like months down the road. And I always had blinds in our houses, blinds covering the windows. And I would notice at night, the blinds, almost as if somebody was running their finger up the blinds. They would like move in like succession, like ding, 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 like somebody was going up and down the blinds with their finger. And I was like, this is so weird. This is so creepy. And I remembered, the Ouija board, obviously that was a neat experience for me. And I was like, well, now I'm a little creeped out because it kept happening. So it happened in my room. It would happen when I was by myself. And I started to get a little spooked. So I would try and get rid of the Ouija board. So I would go and hide it, in my sister's room. And then she would be like, I don't want this thing. She would put it back in my room. And then I would just try and throw it away. And then my parents would find it and be like, oh no, this is a game that, you guys had, just keep it. I couldn't get rid of the damn thing. So,
Come show me back up.
yes. And I don't think it was like the Ouija board's fault. It was just, I just couldn't get rid of it, even though I was trying to get rid of it. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
So we moved a lot when I was a child. I believed I lived in 7 or 8 houses just as a kid. My parents liked to move. And every house that we lived in, this would happen. The blinds. Every house. And it started happening more and more. And I remember one time I went to a friend's house. We were in her game room. We were watching a movie. She went downstairs to grab sodas. And I was in her game room. And it happened in her game room. And I was like, something is attached to me. Now, I didn't say those exact words at the time. I was a child. I mean, maybe by this point I was 12 or 13. This went on for a while. But I just had this thought that there's something that won't leave me alone. So we moved to a home, and this is the home that I lived in when I was in high school. Same thing. Blinds up and down, blinds up and down. I also had, you guys might think I'm crazy for this. I had one of those battery operated like doorbells on my room to my room in high school. And it started to go off around 3 o'clock in the morning. And I know this sounds really like spooky, like, oh, 3 o'clock, oh, the blinds. I have no reason to make this up. I don't know why this was happening at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why the blinds were moving. This is just my story, and this is how it went.
Totally believe you. We've heard many, many people with similar stories. So we don't believe that you're weird or different. This is something we've heard before.
Yeah, no,
It's
I've actually got EVPs of work, a little girl, this family up in San Francisco when we lived in California, and we went up there because they were 40 at their, they played with Ouija board. The daughter had 13, 14-year-old daughter, and so we went in there and we did a whole bunch of EVP work, and we got about 7 or 8 EVPs of this little girl responding clearly as I am to you, to everything. Where did you come from? Ouija board. And I think I repeated myself. I said, "Did you come out of the Ouija board?" And he said, "Yes."
wow.
And I don't remember what the rest of the questions were, but it scared the family to death. Basically, I emailed them the audio and never heard back from them. I said, "We need to do a cleansing in the house and clear this out." And they closed out the Ouija board. Well, the Ouija board had disappeared. It had gone to a friend's house, and I'm pretty sure the parents there had done something to the Ouija board, so there was no way to close it. But while we were in there, I think a shoe moved on the floor. It was weird. She had left a shoe on the floor and it had moved across the room when nobody was in there.
Yeah, I don't understand obviously how those boards work exactly. There's something with them though. I don't know if spirits just recognize that it's a communication tool and portal to the living side. And that kind of like opens up that gateway, using the energy of the people who are, playing the game. I'm not sure, but just because of my story, I'm not a skeptic to Ouija boards. And to this day, when I see one with, a full Ouija board with a planchette, I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about it just because of my experience with it. It's just crazy.
Did it
So
ever stop? When did it stop?
So, it around the time when I was in high school, that's when it started to progressively get worse. I don't know why. It just started happening more often. So I went to sleep one night, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I saw something, and it was this tall figure in my room, and all I remember is it had glowing eyes, glowing red eyes. And I sat up, I looked at it, I looked at the clock, and it was like 3:05. And I was terrified. I was just like, I don't even know what to do. So I like pulled the covers over me, and I was just like, maybe it'll go away, maybe it'll go away, maybe it'll go away. And then I pulled the covers and it was gone. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not sleeping tonight. So
Right.
didn't sleep.
I wouldn't sleep either. That's a scary situation.
So the first time that happened, I thought I dreamt it. And then it happened again. So that happened a second time. Same thing. It was in the same part of my room. Tall, dark figure, red glowing eyes. And I mean, dead on looking right at me. And I'm getting like, I'm getting chills like all over my body talking about it because it's just terrifying. And I don't know what it was. I'm not saying because it was a dark figure with red eyes that it was negative. I don't know. As far as negativity, it never did anything to me.
It kind of scare you to death.
Well, for me, I don't know if it was like purposely trying to scare me or just trying to communicate with me because it knew that I could communicate with it. I don't know. I don't want to know,
Right?
honestly. After that second,
I do. It's done and over with.
yeah. So after that second time, I went to a church. So I had a group of friends in high school that were members of like a youth group at a church. I was not a member of this church, but they were able to get me in touch with somebody who did a cleansing and, touched all the wood everywhere. That was the end of it. But it was just, my son is looking at me through the office window. So if you, he's about to go to bed. I'm so sorry.
Oh, she ran over and now she doesn't get to kiss her son goodnight.
I know he's fine. He has a little head cold, so he needs to get in bed. But no, that was the last time that I had an experience with it. Haven't had anything happen since then. Again, touch wood. But again, when something like that happens to you, especially for I was in high school. I was 16 at the time when the cleansing happened. So you're talking 6 years. 5.5, 6 years that this went on. hmm And not knowing what to do. So when I say that like paranormal is something it's really close to me, I experienced something very little as a young girl, as a preteen, that I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody, nobody, until that second time that I saw the shadow figure, I don't know what to call it. When I saw that the second time is when I was like, I need to tell somebody that this is happening because I'm scared.
Right. And that happens to a lot of children, a lot of teenagers. That's why we, do what we do so that we can share that we're here to believe you and we want you to tell your story. That way you don't feel so alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's, when you get into negative energy like that, I'll call them negative entities, not demonic entities, but negative entities, they try and separate you. They try and push you away from people that can help you or people that you love, and it isolates you on purpose to tear you down, and it affects your sleep, and it does all that stuff to terrify you.
Right.
And we and I grew up with very similar things happening to us. I mean, I had a cloak figure with a skull for a face that would open my closet door, float out of there, disappear, and then reappear. After moving something or doing something, making a knocking noise, something like that. And the dog would sleep with me. She would look up and growl at it, and go back to sleep. But yeah, it was terrifying. So I know exactly what you're feeling.
Yeah, and I mean, that sounds like a spooky ghost story when you kind of like put it out there into the universe. But living it and experiencing it it's so different. And that's why I always tell people, if they don't believe, people that are skeptic, you can't understand what it's like to have those kinds of experiences with a spirit, a ghost, whatever it is that's attaching itself to you or haunting a building. You just really can't understand it until you have that experience. And then you're just like, wow, there is something after this life. And I don't know what it is, but it's there. And it wants to be known sometimes.
I know. And then I would also say to be open to listening to other people's stories because it's hard for someone to actually even tell you that story because they think that you're not going to be believed.
Yes.
So, or I'm not going to be believed, so I'm not going to tell you the story. But once someone's open enough to tell you the story, listen to them.
Exactly. I mean, you guys are like the third and fourth people that have ever told this story. Just because I know it sounds so like, I don't want to say textbook because I don't feel like it's like that. It sounds just so like a typical ghost story. Like, oh, the spirit, attached itself to me from an Ouija board and it messed with me and then it showed itself to me in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock. And I mean, I understand now why there's folklore about witching hour. I mean, it's just that's when all of the activity happened to me. And I mean,
Right.
that's when, documented, that's when most activity does happen. So to me, my story isn't far-fetched at all, just because I lived it and experienced it. But I do agree with you with people telling their story. Like I said, I've had multiple people come up to me recently and want to tell their story to me. And it just really warms my heart that people want to share their stories with me, because I have always been so scared to share mine. Even now, I'm like clenching my hands. I'm like, oh gosh, are people going to think I'm like crazy? But this
Right.
is
I
where it
mean,
started.
at a certain point, you just go, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not lying. I'm telling you the truth. I sharing my story so you're comfortable to share your story with me. And the more people that talk about it, the more normal it's going to be.
Exactly.
People won't feel so ridiculed and alone and, feel like they're crazy when they're not.
And that happens
Exactly.
way too much. And people just feel isolated and they don't feel like people talk about it. Me growing up, my dad was very skeptical and still is. My mom was very Catholic. I was raised very Catholic, so ghosts, psychic, back in the 80s, that was not something you talked about. They,
Oh, sorry.
they picked you up and put you into a home when you said stuff like that.
Yes.
So me growing up as a child, I mean, I talked about this many times on the web camp, over web shows. Um, I grew up with paranormal. It wasn't until I got into my late teens that I started experiencing what you did, the more
Mhm.
negative side of things, or the darker side or demonic side of things. So yeah, I mean, people need to be open to listening. I think they are now more than ever. I think it's like 80% of the United States people believe in ghosts now, which is cool. But back when man and I were growing up, I don't know how old you are. I think you're a little younger than we are. But you know, you didn't talk about, well, at least in my family, you didn't talk about
His
ghosts.
family didn't, mine did. My family was completely different than most families where they would talk about, because our ancestors were Indian, they would talk about folklore, they would talk about ghosts, they would talk about psychics. They and since I was little, like my grandma was like, we have a ghost in the house. I was 5. She told me about the guy that lived in her room and the doors would open and
Yeah.
I could run to the bathroom because I was scared and things would disappear. And like my grandma talked to him like he was a real person.
I mean, and that's incredible that they were so open about it. I had one side of my family, they lived in an older home that they renovated, and our whole family claimed that there was a ghost that lived in the back room. Now, my family doesn't even know this story, so that's how uncomfortable, it was to talk about spirits and ghosts in my household too. So I completely understand, Matt. I mean, that was something not talked about in our home, but we all had this. I say it's a running joke that there was a ghost in the back room of my grandparents' home. But looking back, I think that it was true. I don't remember what story or tale that they told about this ghost, but that room was different. It felt different. I never went in there. Me being me, you would think I would want to like go in there, but I never went into that room. It just kind of freaked me out. It had a weird, cold
Right.
ambiance to it. But no, I mean, we never talked about ghosts in my house, and it was fine. I mean, it didn't bother me. But I love that your family did. I feel like that's just, for me being so into the paranormal, like that's just so like nurturing to just talk about it. Just put it out on the table like, oh, hey, there might be a ghost in here.
Right. And
Okay.
it was, I had no idea other people didn't believe in ghosts. Like I just thought everybody did. I thought
Oh,
everybody
wow.
believed in ghosts. I grew up sheltered. I thought people believed people were psychic. I thought people believed all the things that my family believed. I thought everybody else believed. Like I didn't know any better. That people just didn't believe, in what we believed.
Yeah. Well, my mom was accepting of it. I mean, she would come into my room when I was 7 or 8.
How long was Neil Armstrong actually on the moon? When did Europe start speaking English? Did Marco Polo really go to China? CuriosityStream is the streaming service for all things history, plus science, wildlife, and more. What's the real story behind the Mona Lisa? We've got that. What caused the collapse of Rome? We know. Where did we find mankind's earliest ancestor? Come find out. For the holidays, give the gift of curiosity with 25% off gift cards for your curious cohorts. It's holiday shopping season at curiositystream.com/gift.
I had insomnia because I was just getting messed with so much.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
And she would come into my room and just check on me. And then she'd come sit with me and talk with me. And she wouldn't even talk about ghosts or anything. She would say, "Oh, look here." She'd open the blinds and show me how foggy it was outside. And you couldn't even see out the window. It was so foggy. And I grew up in Irvine, California.
Yeah.
From time to time, that area would it's right behind Laguna Beach. So the fog would kind of fill in there in that area. It was really cool, but yeah, so she would come in and just check on me from time to time. I guess she could hear me staying up. I'd build Legos or whatever. Finally, she actually ended up giving me my dad's headphones. He had a Sony Walkman, and she would give me one of his tapes, and I would go listen to that, and that actually helped me fall asleep. So
I have a question for both of you. Did your parents say, you're talking crazy, you don't know what you're saying, or did they just kind of ignore the situation and you implied that they didn't was there ever a discussion? We don't believe in ghosts, and here's why.
I don't remember a discussion. I just never got brought up in my household. I think if I were to ask my parents haven't changed much from me being a child as far as their beliefs and how they are. If I were to ask them if they believe in ghosts, I would think that they would say no. And that's okay. I mean, that's completely okay. I'm not, a non-ghost believing hater person.
We don't force our views on other people. That's
Exactly. But no, it just wasn't talked about, which is why, they've never heard this story from me. Like I said, there's I can count on one hand how many people know this story just because of how I feel somebody might react to it. I remember one person that I did tell when I told them about the part where, I woke up in the middle of the night, I saw the dark figure, it had the red eyes, I got scared and covered myself, and they were like, "Oh, well, that was a night terror. That was, sleep paralysis." And I was just like,
it's different.
No, it happened twice, which, I understand that people can have that condition often. My husband now, he wakes up and oh God, he's gonna kill me for saying this, but he'll wake up in the middle of the night and he'll think that there's animals in the room. He'll like get out of bed and be like, "There's a squirrel in the room," and I'm like, "What?"
He's sleepwalking.
I know he can never listen to this podcast.
My brother sleepwalks. I think it's a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, so I've been told that, oh, that you didn't really experience a spirit. You experienced, a night terror. You had a night terror. You had sleep paralysis, and I was like, I wasn't paralyzed. I could move. I was scared. Yes, I was like shocked. I was scared, but I mean, I could pull the blankets over me. I looked to see what time it was. I mean, I was very much aware of what was going on, and that thing wasn't going away until I hid. What else am I going to do? I'm not going to like run up to it and, hey, what's your name? Oh gosh, which I would never want to know.
Right? I don't know.
I don't want to know your name.
Yeah. I just like when people tell me how I feel or what I experienced. Now, that's okay, if you want to say, hey, maybe it was this. But don't ever say, no, you had this X, Y, and Z, because you weren't there. You didn't experience. You weren't in the room where the figure showed up, and I just don't believe. I don't think people should do that.
No. On anything for that matter. But especially, a paranormal experience. I just feel like it's such a personal thing that I experience. Your experience is going to be different from mine, and Matt's experience is going to be different from yours. And like that's a very personal thing that happens to you. And like I keep saying, you can't understand it until it happens to you. And then once it happens, you just know. You just know.
I always do that. I apologize, but it's almost like saying, no, you didn't have a night terror. You had a ghostly experience. Let's just reverse it a little bit. Like, don't do that to people.
Yeah, well, the way that I see it is the like accumulation of the events where, this had been going on for so long. It built up over the years. It started to happen more and more and more. And then finally, when I got into high school, it was happening a lot. I mean, at least once a week, I was seeing the blinds or, 3 o'clock in the morning, that doorbell would go off. And I finally ripped that thing off the dang wall. It was just like, this is terrifying. But, just everything together makes it make more sense that it was a paranormal experience.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. And my parents, I mean, we never had a discussion. My mom, kind of come in and comfort me. I think she knew what was going on. Again, she was heavily Christian, Catholic. So she was very, very involved with the church. She participated in school, after school. I went to Catholic school. And so did she. She actually went to a Catholic high school and college. And so my dad, I mean, I tried to talk to my dad about it a little bit, and he just, whatever. He doesn't really want to know.
He does just whatever.
He doesn't really want to know. He's like, okay. We showed him a picture of a ghost one time, and a video of it, and he just went, oh, okay. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happens. I have a very crystal clear EVP that I got on a recorder, and I used to carry it with me. This was, 10 years ago. And, people would tell me, because people knew that I was into paranormal during that time period, and be like, oh, I don't believe in ghosts. And I would play that for them. And obviously it's me talking, and there's nobody with me. And clear as day, I mean, there's a voice, and it's not like, it wasn't like the voice sounded at the same, at the same like pitch as mine. It wasn't as loud as mine, but it was like a whisper, but it was clear as day. And as soon as people heard that, they were like, well, who said that? I was like, I don't know. I didn't hear it when I was there.
Yeah, that's what an EVP is. I think that a lot of people are always going to naysay any kind of evidence, because they didn't experience it. They weren't there. Even though I could be the most honest person you've ever met and never tell a lie, they would still say, I staged that, or that's not real. That's some kind of recording, or they have a piece of string and they pulled the door shut, or
Yeah.
We're always going to have naysayers. Here's what people need to do. They need to experience it for themselves, just like you said.
Right. I always tell people, I don't care what it is, Bigfoot, ghosts, UFOs, whatever the paranormal thing is. We have to have an experience where you can say that wasn't anything else but. We can't describe it away. You know, Amanda's still waiting to have her first Bigfoot encounter, which
Still haven't seen one.
she hasn't seen one, but after she sees the video we got from the other day, oh.
You know, it's so funny. You guys have made me a Bigfoot skeptic. Because if you would have asked me 6 months ago, does Bigfoot exist? I would be like, hell no. That's a myth. That's just a cryptid creature that people make up and talk about. It's, in movie stories. But when I had that conversation with you, Matt, you told me about it and you said to go watch your videos. And then I went down this rabbit hole. I spent 48 hours, not total, but over 48 hours, I was just researching it and watching other videos and just seeing the connection of how whatever that is, Bigfoot, whatever cryptid people think that it might be, seeing how they communicate what they do. And it's so similar. And it's well, what the hell is it? And I'm not saying it exists, but I'm also not saying it doesn't exist. So you have made me a skeptic.
That's the thing that I say. Because this is another thing where people look at you like you're crazy. There is no way that this big creature is living in the forest. But what trips me out, and because I was there with Joe's camp, and we had that recording of that thing moving the camera, it looks like a something. It doesn't look like a human because it doesn't have human. Well, it has human features, but you can't see it.
The one where it goes up to the house.
Yeah, because 5 minutes prior, we had a video of a deer in the same spot, completely clear. You could tell it was a deer. So,
what you don't see in the video, there's 2 other clips where you can actually see it standing behind that blind that it created. You can see its butt literally move into the
something is there that I can't identify as a human or a deer or any other kind of animal.
Yeah.
And that is
not
where you have to say, okay, are those people making it up? I just would not be able to do any kind of video to make that up. I'm not that technical. Matt's not that technical. This
of course.
The video camera that we had, it's just weird. But I haven't seen a bit. I can't say that I've seen a Bigfoot.
I'm right there with you, but I mean,
a Bigfoot's seen you several times.
I'm sure. That's what he keeps telling me. I don't. Until I see it. Again, I'm the person. Until I see it, it's not. I haven't seen it. You know what I mean?
I would have to agree with that. And I mean, but like I said, 6 months ago, if you would have asked me if Bigfoot exists, I would have said hell no. But now, if you ask me if Bigfoot exists, I don't know.
There's doubt.
I don't know because I've seen some things, man. I've seen some things.
Right. Well, even being a believer, I want you to be a little bit skeptical because if you believe that everything we hear, see, or experience is Bigfoot or ghost or UFO or that, everything is those things.
I think the other thing that tripped me out about all this Bigfoot hunting is that when we went to the investigation and we talked to the people that have experienced Bigfoot,
Yes.
stories are all very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And unless they are really good at remembering, really good at speeches, it's very odd that the story is so similar.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, Kristy,
No, you're fine.
you listen to them, and you probably can say the same thing about the people you've interviewed for ghost hunting and stuff, or ghost research into the historical locations. You can just tell they're reliving their experience. They're kind of talking about it, then they're kind of drifting away for a second, and they're
Yeah.
kind of reliving that, and they come back out, you know.
It's kind of a really involved story for it to be made up.
Yeah.
That's why I don't, I mean, and when I saw your videos, I mean, like you just said, the family members that lived, on the property as well. I mean, just everybody's story was the same, and I don't know why people would make something like that up. It's not like, this is going on national television where someone's making money or benefiting from the story. It's just people that are genuinely looking for answers because they're having experiences on their property. Now, what it is, I don't know, but I mean, I'm not saying it's not Bigfoot.
I'm not ruling it out.
Exactly. Well, and that's like, the stories in, up north, which I don't know if we're supposed to say it down here. I don't know. I get weird when like you're not supposed to like say the name of something and you like say it into the universe. It sounds like Winnebago.
Winnebago.
It's another cryptid creature. It's
Okay.
I'm not saying the actual name of it because I'm weird and kind of superstitious, but
I don't think I know that one. Matt knows most of them. That's the thing.
Yeah, I've done a lot of research into it.
I think this is
Everybody
one.
is screaming at the radio saying it's this, and I can't think of it right now.
Out here you've got Bigfoot, you've got Dogman, you've got Lizard Man,
Not those.
you've got Deer Man,
It's not.
you've got
It doesn't
Ant-Man.
rhyme.
No.
She's talking about it
I know,
rhymes
I'm
with
just saying these are
Winnebago.
the different creatures that they have.
I wish there was like a chat in here and I could just like type it out.
There is a chat.
Is there?
I don't know where it is, but I think there is. If anybody's listening, it's a new program that we have, and that's why we're all on video, and you can see it as well as hear it.
Well, I mean, I don't mind saying it. I think that it's the same as what some people call I think it's a skin crawler or skin walker. It's called a Wendigo.
A Wendigo. Yes, I've heard of that.
So that's another one where I've
An Indian, usually it's a shaman or somebody who is very, very powerful, and they can like change into a wolf, or they can change into other forms. And they say,
Oh, gosh.
Bigfoot is too.
I don't know. So the only thing that's when I went on that like rabbit hole with Bigfoot, I discovered that there's all these cryptid creatures that are just known in the United States, and they all kind of have the same story. And that was one that I read a lot about, not necessarily the history of it, but just experiences, people that had some kind of experience with it. And it's really neat. And trust me, I don't believe hardly anything that I see, but if you search for this kind of stuff like on TikTok, there's people that post videos of them, their experiences with them. My TikTok knows me really, really well. So like, that'll be like the first thing on my For You page at like 2:00 in the morning. It's like, oh, here's a video of one like walking in my, pasture. And I'm just like, okay, great. Now I'm not going to sleep.
I gotta watch more TikTok. That's Matt watches the TikTok and does the TikTok video. I don't watch.
There's a whole paranormal side to it. There's a lot of people on there. There's mediums, which again, I take it all with a grain of salt, but I enjoy looking at it, listening to it, and I don't like listen to readings or again. Well, you know what it is.
I believe a lot of things that other people don't because I grew up in the situation.
Well, and I'm definitely not a skeptic to mediums and psychics whatsoever. The thing on TikTok is that you can make money from doing it on TikTok. So, and there's a lot of them, so it's hard to like decipher like which ones are real.
Right.
So I've tuned into a few of them that I like. I actually follow them. There's a local one actually that is really, really good. And then there's a gentleman that I'm actually meeting with this month just because I thought he was just so brilliant, paid for his services and having my own reading. But there's so many of them. I'm just like, oh my gosh, is everybody psychic now?
Yeah. couple of them on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love mediumship. I would love to have some kind of ability other than just being so sensitive to the paranormal. I don't know if I would necessarily want to have full blown mediumship just because I feel like that would be tiring to read people and to listen to the dead speak. But I find it fascinating. I think it's beautiful work. And I think that the ones that do it correctly and the ones that are really passionate about it, it's great work. It's something that's needed in our field, especially, you know, like with what I do with going to historic places and trying to tell the history of these places, you know, having a medium there with me who, you know, can communicate with the spirits and maybe ask them a couple of questions and, you know, see what kind of entity that we're dealing with here. That only helps me help tell the story.
Right.
You know, there's all these places that have all this folklore and exaggerations of, you know, the haunts and what they have going on there. And I'm not saying all of them, but you know, there's a lot of places, not just in Texas, in the United States, where they attract people to come to their haunted location because of this like crazy story, and it's just not true. And I just feel like that's so disrespectful to the location, the grounds, the ghosts. So, you know, for me, I want to be a resource. I don't want to be someone that does scare tactics. I'm not going to tell you a story because I get some kind of rise out of it or I think I'm going to benefit, get clout from it. That's not what I want to do. Everything that I want to do is either based off of facts or based off of the history to where I can better decipher facts about the spirits in a way that makes more sense. You know, where is it located? What materials is it made out of? You know, what kind of energy is in the air? Is it rain there a lot? Is it near water? I mean, what could cause this haunting other than, you know, oh, there was a murder or suicide and there was a baby that died too, and now everybody haunts the place. But that's not documented anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And once you can get the history,
Yeah.
and sometimes it doesn't add up.
Yeah, a lot of the places out here now, I'm finding that a lot of the records for the locations are gone. The historical locations that held the records have either been flooded, they burned, or they just didn't keep them. Unfortunately, it's very hard to get any information.
And the places by the sea, there was a lot of floods from the hurricanes. So
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Normandy Inn was a little bit hard to figure out because we went in completely cold. I contacted numerous historical societies. Nobody could really give me any information.
They lost a lot of the information in the floods from the
Right.
hurricanes.
Right.
Yeah, that I think it's the 1901 hurricane that basically wiped out Galveston Island. There's only a few buildings that stand
Right,
historically.
there's a little cafe that still stands and has like a plaque where the line of water was. And it's
Oh,
like 10
wow.
feet high. And we would all be underwater.
Galveston is a beautiful and very historic place. There's many, many locations down there that I would just absolutely love to even just go to, not even to film, just to experience them because of the history there. The homes are beautiful. There's a whole historic society there that preserves the homes. There's a group of people that purchase the historic homes and restore them. It's a big deal down there to them, and I think that that's beautiful work.
The Normandy Inn was right in the middle of the historic houses. It's a
Okay.
historic house itself.
Yeah.
You know, from
It's
the
one of the
1800s.
13 most haunted places in Galveston.
But those houses over there are so awesome because they're all from the 1900s, early 1900s.
Yeah.
The gingerbread cut houses.
Yeah, they have that style. It's like a Victorian Queen Anne style that they did back then with, you know, all the cutouts, and it's just very intricate work. There's a few homes, if you guys go out into Brenham, there's a few homes that kind of have that style as well, that like Queen Anne look. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's stunning, but it's very like late 1800s.
Yeah, the hotel that we did, what was that hotel called? The W.
The Woodbine.
Thank
Woodbine,
you,
thank you, yeah.
Christy.
I watch your show.
I know. That house was built in the 1800s. It has the red moldings, and it's an awesome place to go.
Well, the Woodbine actually, the original Woodbine Hotel actually burned down
In 1904.
in, no, I think 1901.
Well,
And then in
I'm off by
1902
3
or
years.
1903, they rebuilt another hotel that wasn't as big as the original. It originally had a bigger bar and had like separate
Still,
washrooms, and it was beautiful.
it's a
But
Victorian house,
yeah,
is what I'm
that
saying.
place is.
Go and stay there; it's fun.
Well, if they're open to having filming, I mean that's another location that I would love to go and do my artistry to.
The last time we were there was for sale.
Really?
Yeah, I think it anywhere. I think they're selling it. I think it's at 890 to $1 million.
Okay.
But
I guess
it's
that.
gotta be on the MLS.
Yeah.
So it's not a functioning place. It's not a hotel or
It's still
restaurant.
functioning.
She's still
She
using it
is,
as a hotel
and
and a
she's still
restaurant.
using it as a hotel and restaurant, but it's
Okay.
for sale.
It's got a historical placard on the
Yeah.
front and everything.
You should check it out. Look on the MLS.
I will. I might have to get her contact information from you. I would love to film. My videos that I do are very different. I have a professional photographer and videographer that come out, and we really try and tell a story using cinematography with it. It's not like panning around or ghost hunting. We don't ghost hunt. We really try and capture the beauty of the location. And then there's like a voiceover of me kind of giving, it's like 1.5 to 2 minutes long, or how my videos are going to go. So I don't get to tell the full history in the video. The video is just to show the location. But thereafter, I use the professional photography that I take on location, and that's where I get more into the history on my Instagram. I'll have like a 2 or 3 part series about the history and just dive really deep, and I'll talk about, the alleged hauntings, and then, based off of this or based off of that, this could be why it's haunted. Never, this is why it's haunted, or this is who haunts it. It's always taking everything into account and trying to make sense of it and decipher it in the best way that I can. That isn't a ghost story, if that makes sense. I mean, again, I'm more so into the history. So I wonder if they would let me film. I would love to film it.
Yeah, we'll give you her contact, and you can check it out. I think it's worth going. It sounds like something that would be good for your video.
So something that they don't know, people won't talk about in that location was it. I believe that location may have been used for the Underground Railroad.
It's in Madisonville.
Madisonville. That area was an area where slaves escaped through Texas and either into Texas or into Mexico.
Okay.
Escaped the slavery. But definitely, we asked a question during the spirit box session, and it said yes. I think it was Ezekiel.
It actually has really weird rooms in the house as well. Like there's hidden rooms in the attic that you can't.
Oh wow. Yeah. You know when there's Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, I'm just gonna tell you, you have to climb through like this hole, and then on the other side of the hole, it opens up into a room.
Yeah, and there's different parts of the walls that seem like they have passages and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure the original Woodbine had a basement. So I don't know what's up with that. There could be still tunnels underneath where the hotel is. But it's probably one of the most haunted. It is probably the most haunted place I've ever been. And I've been through, I don't know how many thousands of places I've been through.
Yeah, a lot of
Homes
times
and
we don't find
businesses
anything.
and historical locations, but I've never been to a place where all the activity we had happened like that. I mean, I've never gotten that much stuff where I could sit there and spend an hour just showing you. Here's an audio clip. Here's another audio clip. Here's another audio clip. Here's where the camera died, and all this other stuff. So, anyways, yeah, it's really
Wow.
cool.
I would love to experience it, and again, just film the place, hopefully before it sells, and you just never know who's gonna purchase it and what they're gonna do with it. So that's always a worry when I see places like this listed. you don't know what kind of hands are gonna be on it, but
Or to buy it and keep it up.
Yeah,
It's
there's
expensive
no
to
way
keep
it's not
up.
that price range. We're going on an hour, so I think that tell us again your Instagram handle.
it's my full name, Kristy Price, KristiPrice, and at the end it has an underscore.
So make sure everybody go and see Kristy's videos on her Instagram. She also has a TikTok. Don't you?
I do, but I post all of my TikToks on Instagram. So if you don't have TikTok, no worries. I feed them as Instagram Reels. So TikTok will let you feed a TikTok into a Reel very nicely, I might add. So no worries on that. I post everything on my Instagram.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll put a link to your Instagram account.
Yeah.
On
Perfect.
the video for the YouTube. This will be on YouTube. The audio will also go to our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have you both places, and then people can watch the show and they can also listen to it too. Some people prefer to watch, and some people prefer to listen.
And we want to thank Kristy for coming and visiting with us this week. And hopefully we'll be able to talk with you again sometime in the future.
Of course.
If you're up for it.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. We want to thank everybody for watching us and following us on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok and Instagram.
Sorry guys,
The talk is going a little bit crazy.
All right.
Matt, wrap it up. Wrap it up.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you guys. Have a great evening.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.